Okay, so I think I checked. Everybody has Siri, so we're going to get into that a little bit near the end, but depending on what we get through, but that same dictation applies like we talked about earlier. But first, we're going to talk
I
about...
don't have Siri, no.
You don't have Siri on yours? So you're a fast typist, so you can have your wife do your typing for you. I know, I'm just kidding. So, but you have it on your phone, as I remember, so it kind of applies there.
No, I don't. I don't think so.
Ah.
Cool.
So I'm going to go to Pages. Now remember how I have a lot of apps on my iPad, so I don't know where Pages is. But if I go back from the home screen one page, I get this black screen. What the hell is that? Sean, lights? What the heck is that? We always wonder what this was. Well, remember we found Font Book by Keychain Access. So I'm going to type in Pages. And look at that. It's searching everywhere in my computer where the word Pages comes up, including the application. Now, that works pretty well. Or I can press and hold Launch Pages. If you have Siri, it launched Pages.
Can you use, is launch the only term that you can use?
I'm not sure. Well, let's find out. What can I say?
You can say things like,
Okay, now, I said, what can you say? And this came up. Now watch what happened. You asked about launch. I press launch photos, and it says some different things. See, it says open. I could say open Pages.
Okay.
Play Infinity Blade 2 if I had it. Now I have about 500 apps in here, and I used to go to that home page and do it. Actually, this one doesn't have 500, but my iPhone has that many. And I have an app on my iPhone called Sun GPS because I always take sunrise and sunset photos when we have different clouds around. And so I just say launch Sun GPS and it'll do it. So, yep. Launch Sun GPS. And I thought it would only do the Apple apps, but it basically does anything I have. Now, I have a problem because I have a couple different calendar apps, and I'm testing some different ones. So if I say launch calendar,
which app would you like to use?
Which
Calendar
one?
Or
Okay, because I
calendars.
have both of those, and I just hit Siri to cancel. So it all goes back to what can I say? Now,
You can say things like,
okay. Now watch this in Siri. I'm going to tap Siri. You're going to press and hold the button, and you'll see a little I info button. And if I tap that, it comes up also. Okay?
But I didn't know that you could swipe beyond and get more examples of each.
Yeah, which is really, really good.
Because sometimes I'm trying to say, okay, what is the magic words? Because sometimes I'll say, I'm looking up, I want someone's phone number in my contacts. And because I have an iPad, Siri will always say, I'm sorry, I can't phone off of the iPad. I said,
Right.
no.
So you say open contact, the name. Open Pete Losey contact.
I don't see an app named Pete Lotzi
Oh,
Contact.
wait. Go to contact Pete Losey. Jellyvision Games. That's a great one. We'll tell Pete that it's Jellyvision Games.
Because I thought it would just say, it would just say, this is what the
Let's see.
phone number is. I wouldn't have to actually go to contact.
Show me contact Pete Losey. Sean, what?
Okay, here's the contact.
Here's that contact. Okay. Or if you just say Pete Losey.
Wouldn't it go to emails to you?
Pete Losey. What, Barb?
Here's the contact information.
Yeah, so you just say the name.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wouldn't it have possibly open an email from Pete?
No, if I just said, send Pete Losey an email, it'll bring up an email, or call Pete
I
Losey.
couldn't find the closing in your contact.
Well, I'm talking real quick to it, but so that's how you would do it. Now, the nice thing is Siri is going to be enhanced in iOS 7, and if you have an iPhone 4 or newer, an iPad 2 or newer, or an iPad mini, you'll be able to get iOS 7, and it'll probably be for free. So there'll be some enhancements to Siri. But I just wanted to show you because I don't know where my Pages is. So I said launch Pages, or in that case it can say open Pages. But I can also take my home button and double tap my home button, and I get this tray of most recently used apps. There's another way to do that. If I take my iPad and I 5-finger up.
Actually, it could be 4 figures as well.
Is it 4?
Yeah, you can do
Yeah,
4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah. 4 or 5. I tried 4 first, and I must have missed one. Now, what you got to understand is the complexity of this is this multi-touch display can do a bunch of different things, and we're going to see that when we get into Pages for iOS. Now, if I'm in, let's say, I'm in Google Search, let's say. I don't have to hit my home button to go back to the home screen. Watch this. Grab my hand and go, whoop, all my fingers together. Gets me to my home page. Just squeeze them together. Okay?
And if you just swipe with 4 or 5, you go to whatever thing you open left, and you can keep
Right.
scrolling, keep going back chronologically to what you had opened.
See? I'm taking just my 4 fingers and swiping across. Now, the other cool thing is, if you'll notice here, I have not synced this to my computer, but it did connect to the internet. And does this with our stupid chartreuse look familiar? How did it get here? iCloud, documents on the cloud. And here's what you have to have set for that. Actually, does anybody else, now that did your documents show up in Pages? Probably not yet. So let me show you where to set that here. So I go to my settings page, iCloud, and right down here, documents and data. Needs to be on. Okay, go make sure that's on. Settings, the gray gear, iCloud, documents and data. Now you have to have iOS 6 or newer for that to show up. And I'm going to show you on the computer what we have to have on also. You have to be in Mountain Lion on your computer. So if I go to iCloud, documents and data need to be on. Okay? Now, the other cool thing about that is we started to see a little bit of a video, and I'm going to play that video now. And I'm going to skip to where they get to it. I thought I cut this last night.
And iOS. Today, we want to share with
Can you hear it?
how we're deeply integrating iCloud into the next version of iWork. And to do that, I'd like to invite Roger Rogers.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that because it's definitely not loud enough. Sorry. It's just this one movie, and it's weird because we did it. So I'll pause this, and we'll play that later. But this is important that you have the cloud syncing because we're going to have iWork on iCloud. So you'll be able to go to any computer, sign into your Apple ID, and in your Apple ID, you'll have Keynote, Pages, Numbers show up, and you'll be able to edit your documents. Say if you're at a work computer, even if it's a PC. The video will cover that. But iCloud becomes really neat. I want everybody to have a time machine backup, just like we talked about how easy it was for Louise or Barb to get her stuff over to her new computer. You want to have that. But the cloud will have any of your iWork documents. Now, if you make something in Microsoft Word, it's not going to put it on the cloud. Okay? More reason to use this. You could bring the Word document in and you could see it on your device. So, we're going to go into Pages. And the first thing I get in Pages, unless I'm working on a document, is think about it on your computer. You've got this folder called Documents, and you might have documents inside a folder that's inside a folder that's inside a folder. Well, we don't have that kind of Finder nesting folders here. We just show up and it shows us every single Pages document. Going forward with the new tagging and everything, we'll be able to see it. But here's all my Pages documents, okay? So it doesn't show me Keynote documents because I'm not in Keynote. It doesn't show me Numbers documents because I'm not in Numbers. So we're gonna stop and just pick up where we left off by tapping on this other one. I'm just gonna do this quickly, and then we're gonna actually start a new project from our iPad, so we don't have to worry about the internet. Even though we do have a little bit of a connection, but here's a spinning beach ball. Jeopardy song comes through. Ah, see, I get some problems with fonts here. Lucida Grand is missing, so certain page layouts are not going to work. So let's see what it looks like. And that was kind of a challenging document, but it's pretty close. See, this doesn't work with the text wrap. Remember how it wrapped around the thing there? Oh, darn, the chartreuse green made it over though. So here's our second page. Oh, and look, we kind of masked. Oh, that's a car. That image floated, but the text doesn't float around it. And notice this font was different. We had a different font up there. But all the other components did. So you want to kind of design lowest common denominator. These don't have the selection of fonts that your Mac does. And the reason is because when you think about it, this thing's got teeny amounts of memory and Pages runs very light. We're going to see more of that. And in fact, we'll wait to see what font selections are available on the cloud because sometimes the browsers don't support different fonts also. So we may be limited. So go crazy if you're going to do it on your Mac. Do all the fonts you want, but you may want to find some similar fonts that you know work between all of your different things. So I'm going to go up in the right-hand corner and click back on Documents because we're going to start a document from scratch. So I'm going to hit the plus sign.
Does this also have templates on the
Yep, we're just going to get there. Thank you. They're not as extensive. But what you could do is you could bring in one of your templates if you just save it to the cloud. But remember, some of those fonts aren't supported, and like we saw there, the word wrap wasn't supported. And in fact, we can't do instant alpha here yet. Okay? So everybody here on Pages, create document. Now when I tap create document, I do have some templates down here. Classic, so, oops, come on. And notice I tapped on that one so it became the top document, your most recently used document. But if I go down here, my templates, I got to hit plus again to get back to my templates. So here's all the templates. Modern photo letter. And remember, we had word processing documents and we had page layout documents. It kind of is the same thing. These are our word processing documents. And here is more of the page layout documents.
Excuse me, I missed. How did you get to choose a template?
You have to go back to, we'll start again. hit the plus sign,
Oh, the plus sign.
and create document. The other way, you're going back to your existing documents. Only when you create a new document are your templates a choice.
Okay.
Now, does everybody have template choices?
Now I do.
Do you have it there? You have a template choice?
I don't
Oh, you don't have
have
it yet? So, Connie, did yours make it down yet? Okay, great. So, create document. I could create a blank one. And where do you think it's going to save it? To the iCloud. It'll save it here also, but it saves it to the cloud. So, I'm going to start from, well, actually, let's take a template. Let's take this template. I'm a firm believer in using some existing templates and modifying them to what you want. So, Lorem High School. They said high school instead of the Lorem Ipsum, whatever that is.
Ken, is there a way in Pages, we have fit to page, but we don't for this?
We don't. You have scroll. And by the way, I'm using it, you would fit to page if you rotate. Okay? But I do most everything in landscape on the iPad. Now on the other hand, on the iPhone, I do it. On the iPad, I do it in landscape. In the iPhone, I do everything portrait. It just makes more sense. I don't know that Apple intended it to be that way because they probably they would really put the home button where it was because they have more space for it there. I think in the future we're probably not going to have a physical home button. We're going to use all the little gestures to do it. All right, so now we've got some things across the top here. If I tap the screen, I tap on this, we get handles. If I tap on that, we get handles. And when you tap on the picture, do you get this? Okay, that's just some different things you can do. But let's go up here to the page. Or actually, take that back. Let's tap one time on where it says high school. And look what happens. It knows I'm in text box. And the keyboard pops up. I have different things I can do with my text. So let's go into the text ones first. If I click on Georgia, I have my different fonts. I don't have a huge selection of fonts, okay, but I do have considerably more than I used to. So I can then, if I want to keep the existing font, I tap off of it into the blue area somewhere. We'll tap back on it. You'll notice I have font bigger, font smaller. Every time I hit the A, it gets bigger. Or I tap on the number and choose which one I want, okay? It's pretty self-explanatory. Shouldn't be any issues with this yet. Remember, it's highlighted. The text is highlighted. That's why we're able to do this. Obviously, if I hit bold, it becomes bold. If I tap bold again, it goes off. Italicized, unitalicized, underline. Now, you'll notice this one, it doesn't give us all the center, left, and right until we tap on it. And then we can justify center, left, and right. Okay?
Now I noticed with that one, it just highlights it. It doesn't put handles on it, so you couldn't like open that box and make it bigger.
Correct. It doesn't treat it the same here because the double tap doesn't really happen. It's not a... Although I think... remind me later when I make a box, when I make an object, we might be able to put text in an object.
So basically, those two lines are not in the text box, just like you would type regularly.
These are more like in word processing.
So
But they're kind of, yeah, they're not a text box in this case. So, but let's do this. Let's say add, hang on here. There's a text box. See, I can make a text box. These in the template were not a text box. So now if I type on the text box, I have to double tap. So let's make sure everybody can do that. So let's go back to what we did. Look, I've got Command Z. Undo, undo, undo. All right. So if I go up here to the plus sign, we want to add something to it. It's the plus sign. Now, across the top, this is the first time somebody's been there. Tell me what it started on. Which tab?
Shapes.
Shapes, okay. So you're starting on shapes too. So shapes are great. I can do arrows, etc. But you notice the T inside a box is text box. But look along the bottom.
Dots.
I can swipe, and I've got some pre-done layouts. Now, that doesn't mean I have to use the brick color, but this is the shape of those arrows and boxes is simply a, and we can fill a box later, but why not pick a filled box instead of an outline box? Then here is a filled box with a frame around it.
And a drop shadow.
Yep. And then here's just a drop shadow. Here's just solid. And there's kind of a little bit more. I don't know if there's a gradients or not. So then within that, I'll just pick a text box. Okay? Now, I need to edit my text. See, I've got handles on it. So just like before, I tap on it and tap again. And, oh, I tapped and it moved a little. See? And when I double tap, I can then test, text, box. Okay? Now, I'm going to tap off of it and then tap back on. And in this case, we do have our handles for our object. And I want to increase the text size. So I actually have to select all. Let me see if this will do it. I don't think it will. Yeah, it only starts from there. So how do I select the whole thing? This is where it gets tricky. Well, have you guys done copy and paste on your iPads before? And highlight? Okay. I'll show it to you, then I'll have you do it. And this is critical everywhere in your iOS device. I have to get in edit mode. Tap, tap. Then I press, actually, let's try something. Okay, I press and hold till I get this loop. Now you notice when I have the loop, I can then move back and forth more accurately. But see what it says here? When after I get the loop and if I release, I get select, which would be one word. Select all is everything inside that box. There it's selected. It's hard to tell, the blue here. And now I go up here and say make it 36. So let's go back over that because this is key for doing emails and everything else, no matter where. If you don't have Pages, fire up Notes, and I'll show you how to do this. This is really, really great. Okay, so I'm going to explain it one more time, and then I'll come around. So, in fact, you know what? It's probably easier if we click out of this, go to your home screen, click on Notes, the little yellow notepad, hit the plus for a new note, and just type in testing text. And hit return. Now you can just hit, it's the little yellow notepad. I just want to do it because it gets confusing if we do it in Pages. So press there. Just start typing a quick little sentence. In Notepad. Everybody in Notepad? And again, I'm only doing this because it throws in curveballs when we're in Pages. So now, I'm going to take my finger, because I'm in text edit mode because there's no such thing as objects in the Notepad. So I press and hold, and now watch, I can move my finger back and forth. Think about it, you're doing an email and you need to insert a word. And you have to look above your finger, okay? So your finger's going to be a little below. Position it where you want. When I let go, I get this. So I want to make sure everybody can get the loop up by pressing and holding without moving. Press on the word. Press and hold. Up, you're moving your finger. Sometimes it helps you actually have to stabilize it with your hand. There you go. Press and hold hard. No. let's tap off. Press and hold right on the middle. There you go. Now you can move it. Once the loop comes up, you can move your finger. You got the loop. You got the loop. Mark. Mark, you got it. Okay. When you let go of the loop, you get kind of, go ahead and let go, Dr. McCusker. There you go. Now, think about this. Remember we highlighted on the computer? So I want to select one word. So I hit select and it's highlighted. All right? But let's say this was part of a sentence and I really want more. I'm going to show this first and then you guys can do it. Don't tap on it yet. See this other little blue dot? Well, first off, I don't want to go there first because look at this. Cut, copy, and paste, all right? Look at this, suggest. That means, oh, texting, tenting, or tasting. Well, not really. Don't you guys do it. I'll come back because I can get back into this really easy. Select, define. It can be a dictionary definition of testing. Boom. If I'm in Safari and I see a word I don't know, I can highlight it the same way and say define. How cool is that? Now the last one is speak. Does yours have speak on it? Okay.
Testing.
Now, if I had a whole paragraph, she would read me the paragraph. But we just got testing. We want to go to text. So what you're going to do with your finger, and it's kind of tough to do, you're going to grab this little blue handle right here and move it to the right. And now you've selected a larger area. No, you're in the define part. Oh, you know what? Let's put you on. Where is Waldo? Okay, so we press and hold here. Select. Now, grab the little blue dot, press and hold, and move it to the right.
Mine doesn't have speed. Mine doesn't.
Okay, let's enable speak. Do you have speak on yours? Do you have speak on yours? You have speak on yours? Oh, you did page, okay. So, let me see here. Yeah, you have speak. You guys don't have speak, okay? So, let me see if this is where it is real quick. General. No, I don't think that's it. They both have series. Just make sure where it is and I'll show you. Speak selection. So go to your settings. You guys can stay right where you are. Hit the home button. Go to the gray gear. General. Come down to accessibility, second from the bottom. And then you want to see in the top section here, speak selection needs to be on. I've enabled that on a lot of people's just because I can have it read me websites. You're already set on yours. So if it's on, now how do we get back easily to where we just were? Double tap the home button. And what's our lowest left corner? Is your notes there? Well, you're already in notes, so that won't work. You're okay.
I think you can also four-finger swipe
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, I like to, because older iPads don't do that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. That was 2 and newer. So we're back to where we were. So now if you highlight it and say speak is going to be an option. But let's show that in, so now we're going to double tap or four-finger swipe back to our pages. Four-finger swipe from right to left. You getting there? Is it moving? Connie, don't do like you're slapping me, okay? Take 4 fingers flat and just move them. Did it work?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Oh, you're already in the program, so you're okay. So go back to Pages.
Wait,
It's all in
There
the
you go.
touch.
Yep. It's all in the 4-finger
maybe
touch.
you need to go the other way. Were
Just
there
you guys-
a minute?
Just remember, don't just use just your middle finger.
But he
Barb?
wanted Pages, but she's not.
I
in
don't have pages.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's
For
right.
some people,
You can swipe all day long and do
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
some people, their nails are like-
Yeah. So, okay, sometimes your nails get in the way. That's part of the problem with having it so upright like this. If you're typing on this, it's designed to be flatter, but that's okay. People with long, now the other thing that happens is people with long nails have a tendency to come in from the side and tap on things, and it's very prevalent on an iPhone. And how I found out that that was a problem is when I'm working with someone on an iPhone and I'm in front of them upside down and I try to tap a letter, I try to tap right on the letter, it doesn't take it. Apple's engineers are smart enough to know that on the iPhone, especially the smaller keyboard, if I'm going to tap here, I don't tap right there. I cheat a little because I want to peek at the key. So they have put the sensitivity in knowing that you're going to tap from a little lower. Now on the iPad, it's not as much. But what happens is when people come from the side, they don't do that peeking. They're peeking from the side at what key they're going to hit. So it throws it off sometimes. So be cognizant of that. You guys with keyboards, it's probably not as big a deal. So now we're back here in test text box, but let's go down. I want to get my keyboard out of the way. So I'm going to put my keyboard down. And now I'm going to try this. Let's have it speak this.
Lord, I'm some $6 Amazon. Another routine. Rock is 10 with lasso for mental. Enemy to have a stable. It's long as to exist.
You got that?
Yeah, because I speak Latin.
Yeah. Well, is it really Latin?
I don't know.
Yeah. So what this is this is all, the quick fox runs over. It's really to see fonts. But anyway, that's how you do speak in a bigger section. Since we really, since we don't,
ready to paste what we just tapped on from notes.
not everybody copied it.
Okay, that's it.
So, but I wanted to just show you the speak part. But now we're going to put the keyboard back down again, and I'm going to go back up to our test text box. Okay. Tap on your test text box. I tapped on it while it was moving. So now, I have handles, right? Everybody tapped on their test text box and it's got handles. You need to scroll down where you were a little. Hang on. Single finger for scroll. Did we do a test text box? By the way, when you're typing, hopefully you know this keyboard shortcut. At the end of a sentence, if you double tap the space bar, it puts in a period. Okay? Double tap. You know the old typing class, they used to always say put double spaces after a period. But then in computers, they said we couldn't do that because it actually sent a weird file thing, and sometimes it would screw a computer up. Never a Mac, but a regular PC in the old days, on the old DOS type machines. So then they said, no, don't put double space. But now, it won't put a double space. It'll put a period in a single space. Okay, so that's double tap your space bar, gives you a period. So I have put handles. Everybody have handles on their little text box? Okay. We got to click off of it. Click off. Then click on it. There we go. Now, this is where our touch gets a little interesting because it's tough. And I always tell people, when it's up like that, it's hard too because you want to stabilize your hand, because what happens is, just like your mouse, if you move your mouse, it doesn't register a mouse click if you click it while it's moving. Same thing here. It's not going to register a finger click if things are moving. But I try to press hard enough, and now I can move it around and drag it. I keep pressing. See how I'm dragging it around the screen? Press anywhere inside the box. It's best to just press on the text. Yeah, you got it? You got it. No, the text is attached to the box.
Okay.
So you're moving the box that happens to have the
yeah,
text in it.
yeah, I can do that.
Okay. All right. Now, but that was different than the Lorem Ipsum High School, which is set in the thing as a word processing document. We've added an object to it, so we can make some adjustments to it.
So in this sense, the text is really considered an object. We're in a text
Correct.
box. Text
This is a text box, which is an object. Because remember our high school one, we couldn't put handles on it. It was strictly text in the linear format, like in word processing. Okay? So, now, if I hit in the upper right, I've got, everybody have handles on their text box. Hit the paintbrush in the upper right. Okay? Now, you'll notice this is just like we have, well, actually, it says, well, you can play with these. Just tap each one. There's this one I just tapped. See how it puts a background with a bit of an embossed frame around it. There's just text itself. There's text again. There's text with a box around it. Boom, boom. And then let's go to style options. I'm going to give it that color, background, okay? Because I'm in fill. Phil is a guy with no arms, no legs, in a ditch. Doug was there first.
And their good friend Bob.
Yeah, well, that's Bob. Bob's in the pool,
Yeah.
and they took Bob Waterski as he skipped. We won't go on about Stu.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Matt.
Matt's at your front door,
Yeah.
and you guys are projecting guy on the wall as art.
Yeah.
Stu is in the jacuzzi. All right, so I can change the color of the background, but remember we have these now, so I'll just go along here. Mauve. Now this is the fill. Oh, that's a gradient fill. Oh, Pete would be happy. There's a gradient. And then there's some others here, and these are color palettes. Pre-done color palettes, which are nice. Okay, that was pretty loud. How come the movie can't be that loud? So, I don't know that I should have mail on. Okay. Now, our next one is border. Run for the border. So, this is the border around our whole object again, because we have handles around it, and you can do dotted. We need to make it a little bigger so you can see it. I slide the width slider up. This one I kind of like, or the kind of weird barbed wire-ish one. Kind of like that, concertina wire. Then effects. I can now, remember we showed opacity in the last one over the ocean? Look at that, I can adjust the opacity. I can make it a shadow box. Doesn't really show with that design too well. There we go. Let's move this up a little. You won't see it. I'm going to change that style back to text box, style options, shadow. You see a little bit of shadowing now. Let's move this over. See here in the white area, you've got a little shadowing. So when I tap on that and bring that brush back up and go back to style options, I also have the option to do reflection. And that just flips it. If it was a photo, reflection. Now, let's go back over to our little arrow here. Text. Now, I was on style before, right? So now I want to go down here. Oh, and hang on one sec. Sorry. Text. Now we have more latitude to our different texts. We can center it. We can change how it looks. Blue heading, bullets, label, etc. It's limited, but you can do pretty well. We could bold it. We could do blue heading.
Is, within this one, can you also somehow just grab the text and move it anywhere within that text box, or only?
No, you can only adjust the
Horizontally.
centering, the justification.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So if you wanted to do something like that, and this is a good point, but let's think about that for a second. We'd make our, oh, they're going to get fined. You would just make a floating text with no fill and make a box
Oh, okay.
and have the text float over the box.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
So it's
What this is a text box that we're modifying different things to. And you can get really good with that, and that way, you know, sometimes you need it for balance.
Right.
Okay? So let's give ourselves. I'm going to, oh, here, I'm sorry. So up at the very top, you can barely see it says Georgia in yellow. I'm going to change that font size. Well, first I'm going to change it away from Georgia. I'll send it to Gill Sans, and I'm going to hit the back arrow, and now I want to increase the font size. I'm hitting the top arrow, trying to hit the top arrow. So it's getting bigger. I'm going to change the color to something a little more visible, all right? Text color. So has everybody got a text box in some way? Now, if I hit the arrow back, I have, again, left justify, right justify, center justify, and then full justify. We probably want this. We don't have up-down justification on this until we go to here. Now, wrap, everybody knows what wrap is. When you start typing, it wraps to the next line automatically. Kind of screws you up sometimes, but it will wrap most of the time. Especially in a text box, you may not want it to, so you resize it. Here's our text alignment, up and down, boom. If we were doing however many columns we want, think about this more in like the newsletter format. But here's another way to do some adjustments you might want, and this is the margin from the sides. In other words, when I bring this box in around the text, what kind of margin do I want as a buffer around the text before it would wrap? That's this margin right here. Okay? Here's where we get into text wrapping, but not, you asked about moving everything in itself.
Yeah, just let's say you wanted the text maybe dead center.
So let's, so this would be the case where, in fact, let's go with a big thing and see if, I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to go to this text. First I'm going to draw a circle. So just watch me here for a second and then we can do this. I'm going to hit plus and I'm going to get a shape. I'm going to just get a saw. Oh, we'll get, yeah, there we go. So I'm going to make this a little smaller. Okay, now, you notice I put this kind of in the middle of this text. So now I'm going to tap that text and hit the magnifying glass and hit wrap. Oh, I have to select both things. Oh, hang on here. Uh-oh. Ken said, uh-oh. You know, I wonder if that's not counting as real text. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of the country. Period. This is the sentence I wanted, comma. I guess it's the paragraph I wanted. Period. Okay. Oh, notice how there's an underline on blue here. I guess it's. So if I tap that, it says, if I tap on the blue, does it mean, did I mean speak or this I? In other words, when she misinterprets something you might have said, on the Mac, it's not so easy to bring up. But on here, if I see blue, she may have other suggestions. I may have mumbled a little. It may have been the round of applause for me that caused it. So I can say this. And then I have more here. So I'm going to grab the little, grab the corner. Come on. This is where it gets tough. So I'm going to zoom in more. So I'm having trouble getting the handles, all right? So I zoom in, I pinch out, grab this handle. Nope, it's not doing it.
Are you trying to grab the text and circle?
No, I'm actually just trying to grab this handle right here. And I don't know if it's because my fingers are a bit moist.
And because there's a plus, that means that
There's more under there, yeah. And
I'm
I'm
trying to. Can you actually grab the plus, or do you have to grab?
I should be able to grab, but I'm trying to grab the handle easier. But yes, I should be able to grab. I should be able to grab the plus. I hate styluses. Trust me, I hate styluses. Well, you know what? I may have to just restart Pages. It's a demo fail. So we'll come back and revisit this whole text wrap thing. But let's go back up. I'm going to delete this.
But it would wrap it around that circle.
Correct, and it will just show where that's again in wrap. And you'll notice the layouts. Automatic, around, or above and below. Again, if you have an object, a square object, you'd want the text to be above and below. Or if it's a smaller square object, you'd want the text to go from one side or the other. So far you can see there's tons of capabilities in this thing, just like the other one. Go ahead, Barb.
Well, I just went to a blank one because I felt like all that other stuff was interfering. And I was wondering on the circle, then.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if this isn't a text box.
Oh, maybe you can't wrap it.
It's,
Yeah,
or if it's
that's what
not a
I'm
text
saying,
box.
I mean,
Oh, see, I'm all locked up. So,
I'm going to drag it into my own personal select and see if that works.
so I'm going to go back to documents.
What was that term? So,
I mean,
I've got it both
okay, you guys,
selected.
I have. This is a good way to teach you how to force quit an application. I'm not positive it's the application, but it brings up a good teaching moment. So I have to hit the home button. Then I double tap to bring up my most used tray. And then I take my finger and press and hold on any one of them. And you'll notice they're all nervous. Ken, what are you going to do? Please don't take me. So I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to quit the application. And that's all. Now I go here. Now I go launch Pages. It's just kind of like restarting the program on your Mac. And let's see. It seems to be a little more responsive.
Can you do it?
Ah, look at this. I can resize this now. Go ahead, Bart.
Could you put the circle on your text box? You know, the
It's not big enough. That's why I wanted more content to show it. So I'm going to see now if it'll work. So I'm going to bring in plus a circle. And I'm going to make the circle a little smaller. Drag it down here. All right, teaching moment. I saved a website, and if we go here, don't follow because I think the internet won't support it. KenSpencer.com. First of all, you could Google it. How do I select multiple things in iPad? It didn't used to do it, and it does now. So I'm going to click on MacNexus. And if you go to Pages for iOS tutorial and Pages iOS help pages, I've put these links in here. And look at this. Right on your iPad. This is in Safari. You have to be connected to the internet. But I can do, I'm just going to type in wrap. Okay, search, put the keyboard down, make text objects work together, boom. Okay, in Pages, blah, 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 text wrap, anchor or free, wrap text around an object. Let's do that one. Select the and see, this to me is knowing how to find these resources is huge for you guys on your own. I got stuck, and I just don't know what I'm doing wrong here, so. Select the object and tap in the toolbar, then tap Arrange, Wrap. Oh, let's try that. So I'm going to 4-finger swipe. Ah, you know what? That green might be there. So let's go up here to Wrap, Around. Yeah, see, there's something.
Where did you find wrap?
I'll show you one sec here. Okay, so if I'm to find wrap, I'm a wrapper. So to find wrap, you just tap on the text box, go up to the paintbrush, and normally you'd be like on style. You go to Arrange, Wrap. Move with text.
Oh, that's
It's on.
mine's on.
Yeah, and watch, I'm not on that object, I need to be on this object. Yeah, it's still not doing it.
Yeah, I know mine didn't do it either.
Did you select two things?
I don't know how to select two things on.
Well, that's what I'm looking for. Is okay. Why don't we? I'll look that up during the little break. I don't want to hold us up. I'm very sorry. So
Okay, I am trying different than you. My wording is not in the text box, and I can go and select all, and it grabs both. But then
right, but if you had 3 other things on your screen, it would.
also select. But the option that you said, text with wrap,
Yeah, you don't have it
It's
because
not
you
there.
need text, right?
that's
So-
interesting.
Let's go back, and I want to show you one quick little thing on our text box. Now that this is responding because I restarted it, if I tap and hold on the text box and grab one of the handles, come on here. Oops. Oh, hang on. Oh, this worked a second ago. Hang on. I can do resize, but I was able to rotate a second ago. So let's skip all that again. Sorry. And we're just going to go back to our text. I'll move that over out of the way. And again, I think we've pretty well exhausted what these different things do. But what I'd like to do is see where it changes when we select our circle and see we can put text inside a circle. The styles are the same options for everything. Shadow, by the way, is a little different in this one. Opacity affects just it. Oh, I'll bet. No, that wouldn't do it. All right, so now I'm back on the circle. Up in the upper right, you have a wrench icon. And that wrench icon brings up quite a few different things. First, like we just talked about, it's got a help menu. And look at this help menu. Search and replace text. Pages help, right built in right here. So we're going to say wrap. Search. Make text and object work here. I'll go over this during that. We're going to do a quick break. Probably right at, you guys are out of here at 3:30? Okay. At 3. Okay, I'll be quick. Then we'll do a quick break right when they leave, and then we'll come back and finish up. I'll get this sorted out by then. But the other things we get on the wrench, and this is why I wanted to get to this for you guys, is we've made this great document. And we either want to print it or share it. Now, if you have an iPad compatible printer, get the brother one, you can print for free. And I have the ability to email the document, to print it, open in another app, which would be if there's some other word processing apps or other ones, copy to iTunes. Now, that's a weird one we don't use anymore because we have iCloud. That would put it in iTunes, which would get it to your computer. But watch what happens when I hit email document. This is important. We live in a world where there's still some Windows machines left and some Androids and things. We wouldn't send it to them at Pages until they get iCloud on the... I work on the iCloud, which we still don't know how that's going to be charged. We could send it as a Word document, or we can send it as a PDF. And if I choose PDF, it composed the mail. Now, whenever I get this, people say, Ken, I'm trying to send it as an attachment. It is an attachment, but on your Mac and on this, if it's a one-page document, it will display it for you. Why not? Instead of having this little blue underline and everything else. Let's go back, and I'm gonna add another page to this. Let's see here. So I'm going to start tapping. Oops. So I'm going to take this picture and move it. Oh, I forgot to tell you that. Actually, before we go on to that, move that back up. Go up to your plus sign and click on Media. Do you have photos show up or can't access photos? Okay, good. So what this means is they've introduced some new security things, and it says to access your media, go to Settings, Privacy, Photos. This is new, okay? It didn't used to be locked down, but it's all part of the privacy thing. So I'm going to double tap. I'm going to go to the gray gear. I encourage you to turn this on. You should be able to use your own photos. So you go down to Privacy right here. And you go to Photos. And you allow these things to use your photos, okay? Everybody should have all of them on. It's not a security breach or anything like that. Okay? Now, you can four-finger swipe or double tap to go back to your Pages document. And you get a blank screen for a second. Now, look at that. When I hit the Media tab, there's the photo I pulled up. Okay? I encountered that last night when I was prepping, and I decided to leave it off until we got here because I thought that was pretty critical because it didn't used to be locked. Do you have access to your photos now, Connie? Barb?
I'm so funny.
No, just tap once. Oh, it's moving. Privacy. Oops. Photos. This we only have to do one time. Yeah, turn it on. There you go. So now gives it a second. It's got to say, okay, I'm all right with that. And now when we hit plus media, you can use your photos.
Great.
Which I'm really surprised about that. But again, Apple just doesn't want to have any security breaches. Doesn't want your security compromised if someone got your iPad, so they decided to make that way. So you guys need to blast? You good for right now? Okay. If you shut your computer down, Sean can help you with that. Let's take a real short 15-minute break. I'm going to figure this out.
Okay.
Showed us how
Yeah, I know.
there's something to do with combining the two. It's like Photoshop. You combine the two, hit something, and then it scrolls up around.
Yeah. Because I'd love to. That's one of the cool things about
You got a one?
There's a way to do it. I just can't.
You can, after you do that. I'm going to go hit the restroom real quick.
You bought it to me to get it.
No, go ahead and help her.
I guess she will know
Grab
if
it
it's
if you
just
don't
strictly a text or a word phones, by the way. When you tap on the phones, it's highlight or
You said you can print from one of these.
If you have an AirPrint compatible printer,
One of them.
Okay, so I
And that's
have
why
an
I wouldn't use this device to do that. I would use my.
HP.
and you're sure it's AirPrint compatible,
Can, it's more
well, yeah. So then you would print right from this. When you're at home on your Wi-Fi network, so if you were on your Wi-Fi network, you would hit this, hit Share and Print. You would hit Print, and then give it a second. You would hit Select Printer, and your printer would show up here. Once you've selected it, it will stay selected.
Okay.
because
And you can ask me that over the phone if you'd like. No, that's a real easy one. But as long as you have it, what you can do is if you're not sure if it doesn't show up there when you try it, give me the model number of it and I can check if it's AirPrint.
Well,
It's
I
talking
know
about wrapping.
it is it.
Well, there's ePrint and there's AirPrint.
Wrapping.
Do you know the model number?
Right.
So I don't think we're
How long would you get it?
doing the right thing,
It's,
because the wrap means something.
you ever
Yeah, I
put
know,
2 years
like-
ago?
A year, probably 2 years ago, questionable, but we can see. And if not, you email the document to yourself, obviously. But there are some apps you could use too. But it's so much more convenient to have an AirPrint printer.
Right. Yeah, because I can print it from a cruise line.
You're right. I remember the. Oh yeah. Yeah, then you're fine.
I think it was a busy day too.
The Bezier is what we did, and we did some other little tricks. And we did all the little.
Yeah.
That's.
You know, today was kind of get more basics, get building stuff rather than make real fancy stuff. Because
Well, I mean, until you get the basics down.
there's no need for a Bezier tool unless you can do everything else to get you there.
Right. So I remember we did that in Keynote.
It's the rejector window. Connie, take care.
Hi,
You
Connie.
got Pages. You were gonna call me about something. Are you coming tomorrow?
I'm not sure. if it was
Oh, okay,
during
perfect.
Pages
All right, thank
for
you. I'm gonna hit the restroom, everyone. Oops.
the map.
I'll go out the other way.
Yeah, we did do exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I can't. So obviously I don't understand.
I know, I don't use that much.
I think it was the busy tool was the trigger.
There's so many little components to it. I'm really going up to that today. I'm going to have carbs.
Hey, Mark,
Yes.
since you're the only one who has a computer left, when you get ready to leave, Sean's going to take off because he wants to watch the Blackhawks game.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. But when you, just so you don't forget, you can go grab your car, and when you pull it up, we'll bring it out and just make it easier, so you don't have to lug it to your car.
Oh, I can lug it. That's no problem.
Well, no, it's no problem. Whatever you want. I'm just
No,
letting
I
you know.
can do
Don't
it.
feel like you have to.
Oh no, it's no problem.
Barb has her own car, and everybody else is on laptops.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with this. Absolutely. But thank you.
That's driving me nuts. I think it has something to do with the Bezier tool.
Yeah, and I still haven't literally wrapped my mind around when they say wrapping text. You know, they say, oh, that means it will follow some of the things. I know.
But he's not, wrap the text is just on an object, the text will wrap around
Right.
the object.
Yeah, it'll just
But following
frame.
the curve is different.
Yeah.
And I think we did it with the Bezier tool when we did it in Pages.
You know, I do.
Because Pete only teaches that kind of stuff. And he doesn't teach in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Or the other place that he can do it. But I don't think that it can be done. All can be done. That's why I married her class.
Yes, well, absolutely.
Okay, so we're.
You know, today's supposed to be pretty warm, but Monday it's been raining.
Yeah,
So Sunday, I mean, it's just gonna. Remember a couple of weekends ago when Saturday was like around 110 in Sacramento, and then Sunday was like 79.
actually I do HVAC work as a day job. The last two EmpowerMac classes I've been on call. Today I actually got a call. I was pretty lucky. So,
Yeah.
I said, "What outside? I'm not getting calls."
Actually, this year, I think that was the only 2 days we actually had triple digits. So,
But that was really early in the year. In the summer. It wasn't even. It was barely. Spring. Right, no.
had that before, and then it goes away.
Beautiful, it's in the 80s, it's a breeze. That's all things for sure.
We get it. You don't have to sit down. Just say it. Love you guys a whole bunch.
Good thing they have this recorded. I'll never remember all of it.
Anybody? You good?
She didn't have the group. I didn't have the group. It's the, yeah, it's their,
It's much harder.
yeah, they're very similar to different. Yeah, well, it won't be with you. Text the path. That's the terminology, and that's
Oh, for that.
not in iOS. It's in
So text
And
the path is the
remember-
thing that if you push an object and you
Yes,
get
you've got it right there. So if you try to
But
put
you
the text
have
on
to
the
put,
Bezier.
it's with the Bezier curve, you set up Bezier curve.
Well, no, you can do it on a circle too.
Well, that's, okay, yeah, you're right, we did.
It's on any object, but the problem was we were trying to put it inside a circle and that didn't work. It will only go outside
But
a
I don't
circle.
believe that iOS can do it. I think
No.
only the other, the honest one can do it.
So let's say I want the text to go around this picture in this.
Well, I'm working on that. That's why I just came back in.
I don't think that iOS can do it.
Okay, that's what I was
But
wondering.
I think it will do on your computer pages, but it's text that.
Because I noticed that.
Use a circle, or if you use a Bezier tool, if you use a Bezier tool, draw a like an arc, then use your mouse and select both of them, and then go up and view, and there will be, I'm almost positive text.
And then it'll just.
And it follows what you
Yeah.
selected. Yeah.
Because I noticed that,
Anybody else?
you know, what was I moving around here? I think I was taking this, and see, this does move around.
That's text wrapping.
That's text wrapping.
Yeah.
And I was wondering why it doesn't do it inside this. When I go in here.
You don't have it selected.
So when I had it selected, select, select, and then go in here, go to arrange, wrap around, move with text on. It just doesn't do it.
So let me read this off. So
Yeah, because it's two
So,
different things.
To,
It's not
to
recognized.
wrap text around.
Well, good.
That's
See,
why-
I was wondering. I said,
That's why Ken, I tried it without a text box, and it won't
So,
work with that either.
so this. I was wondering if this is just. Is this a text box or is this? Let's see. No, this has to be a text box because it has handles, right?
Yes.
But this is not a text box.
Correct.
We're trying to get our text wrap thing.
This thing that he chose was a combination of two
See,
different
see
things.
now I can go when
And it
it's
wraps text.
it wraps, but
It's
I
not
don't
a
think.
text wrap.
Yes.
They may have the bottom locked because you can lock in place.
Oh, okay. Oops. So maybe that's why it just won't allow it in this.
They could have locked it.
Oh, they may have locked the
Well,
text.
no, that's,
Yeah.
that's the,
Oh.
you know
Because
what
there
that
was a
is?
place up above that said locked.
Let me select it.
But I found it in the help section.
Text lock.
I just found it when I highlighted text. Look at this over here showed up. But let me
What
just
showed
do
up?
this.
This
I gotta get a
star
big
that's there.
Style option.
That'd be all. Thank you, Joe. Anybody else?
Yeah, look, the text is wrapped around this box. So let me get my circle.
I
So
said
it can't
wrapping
be a
around.
text box.
That's what I was thinking. It can't be this. It can only be those just the word.
It has to be in line.
Right. But I tried that one.
So when you create inline words, you just
tap on the screen.
oh, okay.
It's
So
combining
it's
the
the
two.
word processing.
Okay.
So see, it wraps around. So
Because I noticed I did that because when I was moving it off, and then
range wrap instead of automatic. That's what I was trying to do.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, no, no, it's-
Text to path.
No, that's different.
Right.
This I don't think you can do on this one.
No, I don't believe you can. That's where Bart and I were trying to get it to follow that, and it wasn't.
No, and the reason it won't is because it's only in line.
Right, and I also think you're combining the two.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is it's not a, the other one, the text is actually becomes a shape, an object. Here we found out that we can't do it in text.
So if let's say I wanted something in the box, what I would do is I would just tap here, someplace here, just to start text, and then put a box around it after I'm all done.
Correct, and then the problem is it requires a
Yeah.
But
I
it's,
did on my
and then the problem is you saw, but you know what, remember, when I brought over, work, it doesn't support, look on the screen, you can see. my-
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Remember how this used to cause the
Uh-huh.
text to wrap?
Yeah.
But there's a place where I saw it locked. It said lock. And like, you know how we used to lock the background?
Lock is, like, if I
So
want
is
to
that
take, if I want to
yellow lock?
take this picture,
I don't want to move around accidentally.
Lock, it was just there, see?
Yeah.
yeah, right, if I go there,
Yeah,
now, it doesn't go.
right, I think that
It's
one-
locked, but here's how it's cool about lock.
I don't think it means necessarily text is locked.
No,
Right.
but what'll happen is,
It won't do word wrap. You can't get that high to word wrap.
If I hit lock, do it. Still won't.
Okay, try it and
But let's try this. I want to do this. Let's see, it doesn't change the position either. It's locked where
right. And some of that I think that because we used something they created, I wonder if see if
no, it won't let us do text wrap unless it's using text. Text
Okay.
that's not a text wrap. Now, on the other hand, see this text wrap. This here, oh, that's text box. But we can do, actually, let's do a new document. Back here, so we'll start with this. Let's go back, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a multi-column. Sean, good luck tonight. I'm rooting for you guys. Can you do me a favor since I might forget? Pull the EmpowerMac software.
most people just go to drink anyway, don't they?
I'm going home, so I'm more or less driving.
Chicago Blackhawks against the Boston Bruins. Game 5 of a 7-game
Did you
series.
see
They're
that?
tied 2-2,
Oh.
and 3 of the 4 games have gone to
They put it
overtime.
like my guys. Who was like my-
Oh yeah, where? Really? Well, it's the Boston Bruins against the Chicago Blackhawks. 2 original 6 teams. They're from the original 6.
Well, it's been on-
All right, so let's get started. We'll get you guys.
So does the Genius Bar have a manual that describes all this stuff?
No. There's some online help, and then there's help within the thing itself.
No, but you'd think that once they find they have all
Yeah,
the
and by the
problems,
ti-
they
and-
would write it down.
And by the time they get it done, they've changed it. Yeah, so it's a moving target. But that's what they do now. But what they do now is that's why online is better, because they can update just the portions.
It's like,
Samsung, they must have a terrible drawing to keep up with.
Well, but they're not.
Catch up with them.
But they're not making the programs.
No.
They're just making the hardware. Google's making the programs, and then all the app developers. So,
Google does the programs.
okay, because we have Mac OS operating system, and we have iOS. That's the operating system. We're using Pages as an app, Photos is an app, iPhoto is an app. But Google makes the operating system that the Samsung uses and most of the other phones. But then there's people that build apps like this.
Okay.
it's too much
So
hype.
each of those new things you're adding
Yep, see you tomorrow.
is an app that came to be somewhere or other.
Are you taking off, Bart?
Well, I thought you said we were just going to have questions.
No. We can keep going with this if you'd like.
I'm ready to quit.
I am going to take off at 4 o'clock.
Okay. So Bart and I'll do one-on-one,
Yeah.
and he'll teach me more than I've taught him today.
Taejung Nim.
Pardon me?
Taejung Nim, Honor General, has audited.
Oh, that's right. He has marital bliss. If he gets home in time, his wife will be very happy. Barb, I'm going to do real quickly here before you take off. I'm going to try a multi-column and see if we can do word wrap in that.
Oh, well, word wrap will. No, graphic will.
So if I go here, two columns. Let's make it 3 columns.
So we're going to.
I just,
So do you have to do that first before you ever even start typing?
no, because you can do it wherever you want. Did you see how to make it?
No.
Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to undo. So just fire up a new document.
Yeah.
Okay? Up in the upper right, where the paintbrush is,
Uh-huh.
Style, List, Layout. Got it?
Style list layout. Yeah.
And then do you see columns?
Are we hitting? We're on layout.
Correct.
Yes, columns.
And then just hit plus till you get to 3, let's say. And the only reason I do 3 is just a little easier for us to dramatize what we're doing, all right? So now I'm just going to say, now, I don't have much. Oh,
You can copy and paste from somewhere.
this is text that is just to fill up spaces, period. New paragraph. I don't know how long I can go on, but I'll see how much text I can do in 30 seconds, period. New line. You guys notice that I say new and then the word paragraph and new and the word line. New paragraph gives me double line spacing, and if I say new and the word line, new line, it gives me single carriage return, period. So oh, there it goes. So you'll notice I said new paragraph, it gives you double lines. Normally word wrap just works, okay? If I say new line, it just forces the carriage return. If I say new paragraph, it forces two carriage returns. Okay? Then the question came up, Sean and I are hockey fans. What happens if you're playing the third period? See?
Okay.
Obviously, it would say question mark, but... And you say question. Oh, we'll do the quote thing now since we've got a decent internet connection. This, quote, speech to text, close quote, is fantastic, exclamation mark. New sentence, new line. This quotation, speech to text, close quotation, is fantastic, exclamation mark. To your point, let's see what happens. Yeah, see, quote, it takes, quotation doesn't. It spells out quotation. This quote, speech to text, closed quote. Oh, let's try this. What happens if I just quote and then keep talking, period? Ah, that's called an orphan, isn't it? An orphan quote. Closed quote. Yeah, I don't think it like that. But anyway, so if you can't say the word quote and have it do it. Oh, actually, I wonder. Nah, anyway. Another point.
Quote, but you can't say quotation.
So in dictation on the Mac and dictation here. Now, I'm going to show you two keyboard tricks on the iPad. First of all, do you know how to turn caps lock on? Double tap
Yes.
the up button and it's caps lock. But watch this. If I have it in all caps, comma, when I speak, comma, both on the Mac, comma, and on the iOS device, it will type it in all caps, period. Okay? Now, we showed the keyboard shortcuts earlier for N for Senor, E, okay, enough said. But here's, to me, one of the best keyboard shortcuts ever. I hate typing apostrophes. So I press and hold on the exclamation mark, and I slide my finger up to the apostrophe. And how about quote marks? Press and hold, quote. You knew that already? And with dictation, it makes it easier when you quotes. The other thing you can also do is...
So with the quotation, I mean, a question mark, you just hold and slide up.
No, question mark, you hit shift and tap.
Okay.
Okay, you have to hold the shift, hit shift,
So
question
what
mark.
was the quotation one that you don't have to go in?
You just, whether it's, okay, so go to the period. I probably misphrased that.
Okay.
Press and hold on period, and you'll see you have
Oh, I see. Yeah.
quotation marks, okay? Now, as we talked, you can also double tap the space bar at the end of a sentence, and it will put a period in, okay? Now, sometimes you don't want to have to flip the numbers, but you need to type a number. So you press and hold on the numbers and move to, say, 4, and let go, and the keyboard returns to its previous state.
I wonder why they did the double tap on the space bar. They got the periods right there.
Ah, but you don't have, if you're typing along, you would normally hit one space bar anyway, right? Between words, you double tap. Oh, it's hugely quicker than me.
For speed.
It's hugely quicker than me. So again, that other one is you press and hold on the number key and move to wherever you want and let go, it returns. Instead of having to flip your keyboards. And I always tell people when you're making up passwords, because Apple requires an 8-character password that's a combination of letters and numbers with one capital letter.
So you hold down the numbers to get your number.
And then slide your finger. You can't use 2 fingers. You got to be 1 finger.
Okay.
Press and hold, and then does it flip to keyboard to numbers?
Yes. Okay. So you just
Slide your finger to where you
slide
want it.
up and then,
And this is great on the iPhone.
okay.
Barb?
The key right next to the space bar, it says period and question mark 1, 2, 3.
That's the same as the one on the left.
Why do they have the period and the question mark? If you hit it and it flips over.
But watch.
1, 2, 3.
But you have them without having to hit the shift key. I'll tell you why that is. That's because on the iPhone, you don't have as many keys. On the iPhone, you don't have that down there. You have a condensed keyboard. Okay? So it just follows through with the iOS. Now, another thing is, you'll notice the little keyboard sign down here. If I press and hold, I can split my keyboard if you wanted to use your mini or something as, if you were a thumb typer, and I can then press and hold and say merge, or I can press and hold and say dock.
What do you do when sometimes there's no white space?
It just goes on and on.
There's no white space?
You need white space, when you're going to have a space between words.
Okay,
And sometimes it seems like the screen on an iPad doesn't have any space.
it actually, the way it does it is, a space doesn't take up the full distance of a regular character. That's kind of a typesetting thing. So if you really want more space, you can't hit your space bar twice because it'll make a period. What you do is hit your space bar once, wait a second, and then tap your space bar again. Because if you do it twice in succession, it'll make a period.
Sometimes it reappears for some reason.
Yeah, but see how it kind of doesn't, it doesn't leave a lot of space between, but it's really a kerning thing. So now I'm going to go ahead and select all. Oh, I'll tell you the ones, the really, really good ones too are Logitech.
Logitech?
The Logitech, they have a slim and they have a portfolio one.
Okay.
So the Logitech, so this is more like the folio, which is good because it protects it. The other one is simply like this, it's super thin, and it's a magnetic closure.
Kind of like this.
Yeah, just like that, which doesn't protect the back,
Yeah.
and you take it off and it's losing people.
Oh.
And you don't have to worry about battery life on them because they last like 6 weeks. Because I saw a solar one on Amazon, and I go, well, that's crazy. You charge it up every 6 weeks.
Bob had one where he had a big notebook and then this was inside and the keyboard was inside.
Yeah, but I like to have a little protection, so I would use more of that. But frankly, for me, I just like it really slim. And now that we have Siri,
And this stuff
I don't type much.
stuff in the airplanes, and so
Now,
it adds extra
I determined I wanted
Yeah.
to wait until I
Makes
could
it
get
heavier.
Yeah.
replace my equipment with something that would use Siri.
Okay. And you're thinking about an iPad?
Yes.
Okay.
I already have an iPad, but not one that's capable of Siri.
So how is your up close vision?
Well, no problem. I use supplemental.
Because I have good close vision, and I love the Mini. But here's the deal.
Really? Let's see.
Just, this is a bigger screen.
Once I got the
I would
Mini,
use supplemental.
I stopped using my big one. But I have good up close vision. In fact, I look below my glasses. I have my fake bifocals essentially. So I could see very close up well, so the Mini was fine for me. In fact, what's really bizarre is I went back, after I got the Mini, I hadn't picked up my iPad 2, which didn't have Siri, but my iPad 2, which I really liked it. The battery went dead because I hadn't used the darn thing in a month. And I go, this is crazy. So I picked it up to start with, and I go, and me, this thing's heavy.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah, I just love
I
it.
find the Mini great. I can put it in my pocket.
I know.
You know, you could fit in your small, does that fit in your purse?
No, but
But you have purses that can.
Yeah.
So I think it's really more of a call of
Well, that's the
But you don't have the
that's the nice thing about.
retinal screen.
okay. Good. You know, he just brought up a point, and it's a very valid point. It doesn't have the retina screen, but you know what? Well, it doesn't have to, and I don't want the retina screen first off, because it gets hotter and it's less battery life. But here's the deal. Remember, Pete talks about 720 by 648 or whatever. So the traditional iPad is 720 by 1048, I think. I'm sorry, I usually remember that. 720 by 1048 or whatever. Okay? This is also 720 by 1048. So in other words, the exact same picture on here full size looks like the same picture here on full size. But it's smaller, just like the text would be. But if you think about it, what that means is that's 1024 pixels by 768 pixels. 1024 pixels by 768, 1024 pixels by 768.
Smaller.
This is so much smaller, so these pixels must be smaller. And that's the whole deal with Retina. Retina has smaller pixels. Now, the reason they call it Retina, and this was Apple was pretty smart because they knew other devices were coming out. It came out with the iPhone 5 or 4. 4S was Retina?
No.
5?
That'd be 5.
Okay. So the idea with Retina is at whatever distance. Now, our Macs are 18 inches away, or 20 inches, 20 whatever. iPad full size are 18, iPad minis are less, and these are less. So what they're saying is, rather than geek us out with pixel density and all this other garbage, Retina means the eye can only discern down to certain fine particles, certain fine things. On a Retina display on an iPhone, I challenge you to find dots anywhere on the screen. I even have a screen protector on. Okay? You can't find dots because it's Retina. There are dots, we know they're there, but your eye cannot discern that difference.
I don't. The view with my glasses and this isn't the same methods as good as that.
This is a better screen than that, I think. But it's a little bigger, so you can't see dots on the phone.
You mean the mini is a better?
No, this is Retina, so it's not better. In other words, so the pixel density on this, since you hold it close, the pixel density has to be really high here. If I'm way back there, I don't see dots there, do I? On that thing. On my computer, I'm this far away. To have Retina on a computer, it's whatever distance I am away. So the dot size varies with how far it is from where you're viewing it. That's why they call it Retina instead of saying a certain thing.
Sounds like
The iPad mini has a higher concentration of pixels, so while it doesn't qualify as Retina, it's closer to it, and I don't give a hoot about pixels.
Yeah.
So I see a dot. I'm sorry, I'm not Pete.
Yeah.
and it's less expensive.
It is less expensive, and the big thing for Apple is, this is the huge part of it that people forget is, they source so much stuff for the manufacturers to be able to make it to have 14 million of them the first weekend they sell stuff. So their constraint is not what they want to do or what they can do. Their restraint is what they're able to do because of the manufacturing of it. I mean, they're producing the next iPhone right now, iPhone 5S, we think, and probably a low-cost iPhone. But they're already in production. The great thing is they don't, you don't hear about it. It's kept very, very quiet. But when the iPhone 5 came out, they didn't think it was going to be that big, but they sold 14 million in the first 3 days. Now, and then they ran out. They didn't run out for the first 14 million. So, how in the hell do they gear up for that? And how do you forecast that?
You don't want to get stuck with a bunch in a warehouse somewhere that can't sell.
No, and Apple does it. That's one thing that Tim Cook is so good about. Apple, companies have what's considered so many days supply. the car companies, the car lots do it. They want their car to average 20 days or whatever before they turn it. In the grocery store, it's called turn. Everything else is done on turn. Well, Apple, amazing as they are, have kept their inventory levels under 2 weeks usually. So in other words, if something happens, they only have a 2-week supply left. That's good and that's bad, but in an high-tech electronics are very much like fruits and vegetables. They're perishable. The day they come out, they're worth less than they were the day before, very much so. So that's the other thing is, and it's a huge balancing act for these businesses, because if you go into the grocery store and you're used to buying a certain kind of bread and that bread's not there, you're either going to wait till the bread comes back or get something different. So that bread company is going to take it. You can play with it. That bread company is losing that sale.
It's a phone.
I'm sorry. Oh, here's the phone. So it's a hard thing, and I know that sometimes I fall to Apple because, well, if you'd have made more, you would have sold more. But it's a real balancing act, and again, so much of that is the immensity, the huge amount of information that they're doing.
And a lot of times you see, what do they sell off the stock to something like Mac Mall or something?
No,
I see
no,
them
it actually
selling
goes to the
iPad 2s that aren't refurnished. And
They do with some of that, but not so much that. Those are probably people like Best Buy that had stock of them. I mean, think about a poor retailer like Best Buy. It's like, God, I can't stock too much, but I have enough for the people. But then all of a sudden they change things next week. So there's all these things being pulled at them. You know what? Before you guys go, I want to show you one thing that's a total gem that I wanted to show today. And it's only on your Mac. And it's clippingmagic.com. Now, I have a decent internet. Now, watch this. Oh, unsupported browser. I'm sorry, I need to go into Chrome. Huh?
It's not supported by Safari.
It will be. It's just right now it's not. clippingmagic.com. So, drag and drop an image or choose a file. Okay, I'm going to just go into Pages. I'm going to grab this photo. Actually, hang on. Oh, here's an image I had. Yeah, it won't let me copy and paste, so let's do this. I'll just fire up my Finder, and I'll go into my desktop. Here's a PNG. I don't know what it is. I better... Yeah, so there we go. I don't know how that came there. So I'm going to drag that over to this in clippingmagic.com, okay? So there's this thing I brought in. Now, Instant Alpha, watch this. See the green thing? That's what I want to keep. So let's say I want to keep this blue. I say keep the blue. I don't have to anchor it or anything like that. Keep the blue, okay? Then I say minus see, look at the yellow band that's already started there. And on the right, you see a preview of what it is. So I could like brush it up a little bit and say, well, so this is just like Instant Alpha, but it's all done on a website.
Wow. It's the same as Photoshop with the eraser pen.
Well, it's not really an eraser. It's a exclude. But this is just Instant Alpha, but it's all done on a web.
Web-based alpha.
Yeah. So there, I cleaned that all up. Oops, too much. Undo right here. Undo right here. Come on. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's do this. I'll just say no. I want to keep that. And it's taking the difference in the colors. It doesn't determine where I am. It's the color thing. Anyway, so I'm not going to mess with it a long time. And now I can download and save it to my desktop. Download it. Download result. Oh, there are probably ads on it. So there. Here's my new ping image. Look at that. Clippingmagic.com. Yep, all one word.
Someone could probably have a full business just
What
finding
is this?
cool things
What's
on
the
the
top
internet,
one?
the web, and just say.
It starts
you
at
know, have a
$329,
newsletter saying,
and then it goes up $100 for memory. And if you want the cellular connection, you just add $130 like on the other
Okay.
iPads.
And
But there might be a new one coming out. We don't know. But
oh, that's
if
what
you, I prefer the mini because I have good close-up vision.
Right. Well,
And-
the vision, when I'm looking at this and this, I find this superior.
Versus a regular iPad too. You compare don't compare this to this. Compare this to that.
Okay.
So like if we're at a website,
And people just go to the website, and anytime a
I can
person
see that all
clicks
right
on
too.
okay.
Is
How about mail?
What about looking at iBook?
Oh, okay.
Will that be like they usually split the image?
Launch iBooks. It depends on whether you're horizontal or vertical. See, again, it's the same size screen as the other.
Yeah, we have on my son's house.
Store, library, store.
We click through our national site and then go to a site that's on there and buy, let's say, fabric.
Oh, I don't want store, I want library.
There is a 10%.
I want collections, books,
We are.
purchase
We don't
books.
have it. Los Angeles.
Books where I can see the writing.
Yeah.
I like that. You probably see that.
Yeah, it's got to download it. Don't pause.
Thanks, Kim. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Here we go. Yes. Yeah, we've got like 6 more people.
I know Al.
So here's this way.
I'm not leaving quite yet.
Oh,
I
it didn't
use the
quite do it
bathroom
on
first.
this.
I'll
No
be
problem.
back.
Barb, thank you.
So that does seem small. Yeah.
I'm just going to use the facilities.
I'll be here because I got to break down.
And can you make this bigger? Or?
Yeah, I don't. That's what's weird. I think this is a different format book, but I know what you're talking about, and it normally does that. So let me go to. I think it's this particular book that's bad that way. Let me find another one that's short.
When I'm watching Korean TV, I never see them with a phone that's this small.
Oh no, they're using the big. Well,
They're using
yeah.
big ones, which I
Yeah.
presume a Samsung produce.
Yeah. God, everything's got to download. Well, here, I'm going to pause that. Oh, it'll be downloaded here in a sec.
So they're going to come out with a new one of these. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I think they'll do a Retina, but I just don't know. I mean, I can see the dots, but I don't care. I'd rather have extra battery life and lighter weight. So, I think sometimes you can get just so wrapped up in something. Okay, so now, see.
Okay.
And then you can increase the text size, whatever you want.
Well, that size is all right. Yeah, that's all right. I
Right,
can
and
see
that's-
that fine.
So you just turn the pages.
Okay. And then this is.
I mean, to me, you can stick it in the pocket. It's so easy to carry it with you. I never thought a big guy like me would say, "Oh my gosh, my old iPad's so heavy."
Here, you gotta take care of that. All right. Thank you very much for talking to me. About
Sure. I like the Mini.
that. Okay.
I like the Mini a lot. Oops, I gotta stop the recording.